Good wagga maga. Good morning. Welcome to Dave TV. Dave TV, your favorite show on TV. Having trouble sleeping? Read the style section in the Washington Post. It'll put you to sleep. Nice. Almost as good as Fishbowl DC. What is up with Fishbowl DC lately? Man, it is lame. I mean, the Posts are... It's lamer than usual. What's up with them? Looks like they're just tired. They're just tired. Anyhow, how you doing, everybody? It's the 10th, or it's the 19th. It's the 10th month of the 19th, the 19th day of the 10th month. So I'm looking at today's style section. Actually, I heard this last night. The Washington Post. You see, when other people break news, we tell who breaks it. You see, because we're fair and balanced. But anyhow, it goes. This story should probably have been put in the style section, but the Washington Post, they know what they're doing, don't they? It says that CBS Radio, which is WJFK and WPGC, has basically said they're not going to run an ad from the Oneida Indian Nation, which is criticizing the name of the Redskins as being racist. Quoting here, Steve Swenson, the senior vice president of CBS Radio in Washington, quote, I'm making quote marks with my fingers, but it's the only funny thing Chris Plant says. Based on the amount of on-air debate, adding paid commercials from one side is not something that we think is beneficial for this discussion and for our audience. Oh, come on, Steve. I don't know. First off, number uno, okay? Number one, I like the Redskins name. I don't think it's offensive, and I don't want it changed. That's just me. I mean, I've been a Redskins fan since I moved here in the early 70s as a little kid, and it just would be weird to call the team something else. I don't think it's an offensive name. It's, to me, naming a team something is praising something. You name a team after something you admire. And okay, yes, Redskins, the name to me, yes, it is dated. It could potentially be seen as offensive today by some people, but I don't think the intention of it wasn't offensive. It's a name from a different time and place, and I think people can get that. And it's the name of the team, and it always has been, and I think it should remain. Will it remain? I don't know. Probably somewhere down the line it will get changed because there's just going to be this drumbeat of criticism. But I like the name. Going on that, saying that, I also think that CBS Radio is wrong for not taking these ads. Why not take them? It's just somebody's opinion. If somebody wants to buy, if the ads aren't offensive, they're not offensive ads. They don't cross the line of good taste. They're simply saying we don't like a team's name. Why not? If you don't like the Wizards' name because maybe you think it's demonic. You don't like the Orioles' name because birds pooped on your car this morning. I mean, shouldn't you have a right to buy an ad to say you don't like the name of I think CBS is wrong, and so there. I think CBS should allow the Oneida Indian Nation to spend their money, and hey, CBS would get richer for it because people would be buying ads on WJFK. WJFK is not the Redskins' flagship station. That's Dan Snyder's station, and I guess I could understand Dan Snyder's own station doing that. He owns the team. He owns the radio station. But this station isn't the Redskins' flagship, and I think they should run the ad. I think it's cowardly of them not to do it. I really do. And they talk about, and one of the things this article says in here is it says if you go to the website of WJFK 1067 The Fan bills itself as, quote, making quote marks with my fingers again, And I lost my place. The radio station for DC sports fans. Our opinions are unbiased and unfiltered, and we never hold back. Unquote. So why not let somebody else make an unbiased and unfiltered opinions, huh? WJFK? Come on, man. You can do better than that. I would expect, I would, the funny thing is, this story came down on Friday. So I guess you're not going to have any of WJFK's illustrious lineup of talent like the Junkies and Holden and Danny and all that, and Arrington and Dukes to talk about it till Monday. It'd be interesting to see how much they get muzzled for it. But I don't know, man. I think this is a wrong decision from CBS, and so there. What are you going to do? Okay, so what's our Don Geronimo update today? There's Don and Mike. The world of Don. This is somebody sent me this a couple years ago. It's a 1994 game, Don and Mike, and it plays on like what, Windows 95 or something. Windows. I don't know. Wait. If it's a 1994 game, how can it play on Windows 95 if Windows 95 wasn't even out yet? For Windows, I guess it's like Windows 3.1 or something. I don't have a computer that runs all. I think my oldest computer has XP on it, so I don't know if this will even run. But anyhow, so what's up with Don Geronimo? Well, he did get on the air today. They let him on his radio station out there, in his old radio station out there in Sacramento, KXKK, KK, KKQB, KK, KCBQ. No, wait, KHTK, KHTK. It's there's a KFBK in San Francisco and a KHTK in San Francisco. In Sacramento, I always get mixed up. KHTK. Anyhow, he let him on what was it, last Wednesday, and he gave me that little 10-minute statement saying that he's goodbye to everybody, that he will be leaving Sacramento, but that he's going to stay with CBS. He's not going to do that podcast thing. He said that. And I think that was a little dig at his old partner, Mike O'Mara, who's been spending a lot of his time and effort on the podcast thing. But anyhow, he's going to stay in real radio because that's Don. And he's going to stay with CBS. He's still under contract to CBS, but he's not going to stay in Sacramento. So, the mumble bumble is he coming back to Washington? And I've addressed this in previous Dave TVs. I really don't see much of a place for him here in Washington. If there was an oldie station that CBS ran here, I would say maybe, but I can't see him come back to JFK. I just can't see him reuniting with Mike. I just don't see it in the cards. So what does that mean? He probably would go to another market where there's an oldie station. They may need a morning personality or an afternoon personality or something like that, like KOOL in Phoenix or WCBS FM in New York or WOGL in Philly, or maybe out on the West Coast somewhere, a CBS oldie station in San Francisco or LA. I'm not quite sure of the lineup out there at the moment, but that's where I think, somebody said too, his son Bart works in LA now, and he might want to kind of settle down in that area to be closer to his son, keep the family together. So, I would bet, just wild bet, that somehow Don will land another radio gig at a CBS station, probably somewhere out in the West, somewhere where he's not too far from his son. That's my wild guess at the moment. If you go to Don's webpage or Don's Twitter page, he really doesn't have much more to comment on other than what he said on the radio the other day. He says, basically now he's going into his rabbit hole to kind of hide away from all the crazed fans out there. So I don't know. If he wasn't under contract to CBS, I think the greatest thing for Don to do would be to come back here and go on WTEM and do a morning show for them because they desperately need it. That's Dan Snyder's station. And I think he would be a perfect personality for that. But, with him under contract to CBS, there's no way CBS would allow him to do that. But that's where I think his perfect fit would be right now. All right, folks. The other big news, crazy news yesterday, was revelation in the crappy New York Post, which may or may not be true, that ABC is thinking about, well, they probably are thinking about selling their TV stations. They own 8 stations, none here in Washington. They own, the ABC stations in New York and Philly and Chicago and LA and Sacramento. It's not Sacramento, San Francisco. But anyhow, there was a rumbling that they were thinking about selling their station group. And there was then another crazy rumbling that some company would buy it and then lease it out to Sinclair, and Sinclair would want it. Now, Sinclair's based in Baltimore. Remember, we've told you about how they do their shell game thing with radio TV station ownership, and so they can actually get more stations than the FCC allows under their market ownership caps, and the whole big shebang about how Sinclair is buying all Britain stations, including Channel 7 here in Washington, the ABC affiliate here in town, and we'll probably get their grubby little hands on it by sometime early next year. But anyhow, this whole thing kind of got shot down by the trade press yesterday as being, we've heard this rumor before. There's nothing much to it. But I think there is something interesting to it, and that is, what is the value of broadcast television stations going to be going forward into the future? I mean, really, to own a television station, to own a building that pumps the signal into the airwaves and all the electricity used for that and reception and towers, and we're getting to a day and an age now where you're not going to need to do that anymore. Most people when you watch cable television or satellite TV, it's all sent up to the satellite. There's no need of a broadcast tower and all that energy. And you can do a signal that covers a market or even a nation without doing broadcast in the traditional sense. And, as broadcast audiences continue to fall and more people are watching the national networks like ESPN and CNN and Fox News and FX, and fewer people are watching channel 4, 5, 7, and 9, what's the future of television? Someday down the future, maybe in 30 or 40 years, someone's going to pull the plug on the last broadcast television station. And it's going to be kind of one of those things that's going to go by the wayside someday. So I think, you're starting to see some of these broadcasters saying, maybe we ought to get out before the prices go down. Prices of TV stations are still pretty high, probably going to go down now for the next foreseeable future. And maybe we should just get out now while the getting's good. If we hold on to those TV stations another decade or two, we're going to get a lot less for them. And that's a very real kind of thing, I think. We're seeing, I think, even broadcast radio eventually. I think we're going to see a gradual diminution of that in terms of, why are you going to need that pumping out a signal that in the Washington area, half the signals don't cover the metro area anyhow, when you can just get right on the internet. Once you get the internet easily receivable by car radios, which is going to happen pretty soon if it's already starting, you're not going to need broadcast radio. It's going to be irrelevant, I think. And you're already seeing, some European nations like United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, they're going to shut down analog radio in another couple of years. It's going to completely go away to digital only. And that's a big step towards that day when we may not have broadcast radio anymore. So anyhow, that's just, 3 of our big stories this week. Crazy week. Government shutdown's over. We got some nice new ads. We just did a really nice ad contract with a guy named Mark Ronick. Mark used to produce, or he's a business manager for Mike O'Mara there doing his podcast and all that, and he broke away and now is doing his own thing called the RELM Network. And he's got a lot of really cool radio folks on there. I mean, he does his own show. He does his own show, Mark and Lowell. They have Buzz Burbank now in their crew. They have Kirk McEwen. Remember Kirk? The long time. He'd been on 98 Rock. He's been on the old 105.9. What was that? The Edge. What was that? The XWXRK 105. I can't even remember their damn slogan anymore. 105.9. Down there, the old classic rocker before MAL took it over. He's got some really cool people working for them, doing some RELM podcasts, a podcast network, and we got their ad up. Kirk and Al, that's right. Kirk McEwen's doing the Kirk and Al show, and they're now up on the RELM network. So when you go to DCRTV's front page or the mailbag, look on the right column there, and you'll see all the latest shows from the RELM network, including Buzz Burbank. It's good to hear Buzz back on the radio these days. So anyhow, you can check those out and what's going on there. And tell them when you go there, click on those sites, click on them often, and tell them, click on those podcasts, click on them often, and tell them DCRTV sent ya, won't ya? All right, folks, thanks for watching Dave TV for this Saturday, the 19th of October. Don't forget to help support the site. Just celebrated our 16th anniversary when we couldn't have done it without your help. So Thank you all very much. Buck on Dano.